In the small coastal town of Blackwater Bay, the lighthouse stood as a solitary guardian against the wild sea. For generations, it had protected sailors from the treacherous rocks lurking beneath the waves. But legends whispered that it was also a beacon for something else, something far more sinister. The sound of his voice, a young sailor with hollow eyes and a look of utter despair etched across his ghostly face. "Help us!" the apparition cried, his voice barely more than a whisper in the howling wind. "We are bound to the sea, trapped by the midnight toll. You must silence the bell!" Racing against time and the rising tide, Evan felt a sense of duty surge within him. He had come to uncover the truth, but now he realized he was meant to end the torment of these lost souls. "How can I silence it?" Evan shouted, his heart pounding in his chest. The apparition pointed toward the base of the lighthouse, where old, weathered chains clung to the rock, tangled in barnacles and seaweed. "Find the source of the toll," he urged. The bell was struck by anger and sorrow, forged in the pain of those who died at sea. Only by confronting that pain can we be free. Evan nodded, understanding the urgency of the task. He turned back toward the lighthouse, crossing past the ghostly sailors who now drifted closer, their forms wavering with the surges of the waves. The tolling bell rang again, louder this time, sending shivers down his spine. The sound was not just a toll, it embodied their anguish. Inside the lighthouse, Evan descended to the lantern room, where the bell, the source of the haunting toll, hung ominously. Its surface was slick with sea spray, and its metal glimmered faintly with an otherworldly aura. The echoes of the past seemed to pulse through the air, thick with emotion and despair. Evan approached the bell, placing his hand against the cold metal. He focused on the anguish of the apparitions, the sorrow of the lost mariners. "I will help you," he murmured, driven by their desperate need for freedom. "I will break this curse." As if responding to his words, the bell began to vibrate, its sound shifting from a mournful toll to a cacophony of voices. The cries of sailors lost at sea, their final moments replaying in a loop. Evan closed his eyes, immersing himself in the pain and memories now enveloping him. He could see flashes of storms, shipwrecks, and the faces of those who had perished. In that moment, he understood. The bell was a vessel of their suffering. It was the echo of their lives and deaths, a reminder of the storms they could never outrun. To break the curse, he needed to acknowledge their pain and help them find closure. Gathering his resolve, Evan shouted to the darkness, "I honor your memories. I acknowledge your pain. You are not forgotten." The wind howled in response, and the bell tolled again. But this time, words fell from Evan's lips, a chant he didn't know he had within him. "Let the waves take you home. Release your sorrow. Find your peace. May the storms that claimed you turn to calm seas." The energy in the room shifted. The bell vibrated violently, and the air thickened with an electric charge. The spectral figures filled the lantern room with an ethereal glow. Their faces, though sorrowful, now softened, revealing a flicker of hope. One by one, the sailors stepped forward, each grasping onto Evan's words as they began to dissolve into shimmering light. The bell rang louder, now a harmonious sound, resonating with all the tumultuous emotions that had been released. As the last sailor faded into the light, the bell fell silent. The oppressive weight in the air lifted, leaving behind an intense stillness, as if the very soul of the lighthouse had exhaled. Evan stood in awe, the quiet of the night settling around him. The fog began to clear, revealing the stars twinkling overhead for the first time since he had arrived in Blackwater Bay. He felt an overwhelming sense of peace wash over him, as if the lost souls had found their way home. The lighthouse no longer loomed as a haunted specter, it now stood as a beacon of hope and closure. Evan reached for his equipment, knowing that he would take this story of redemption back to the town. The midnight toll, a ghostly bell that had once summoned the lost, would now narrate a tale of freedom and peace to anyone who dared to listen. As he turned to leave, the wind shifted and a warm breeze tousled his hair. In that moment, he felt the sailors' gratitude wrapping around him like a warm embrace. He smiled softly, confident that their stories would continue to echo through time, not as cries for help, but as a reminder of the enduring human spirit. Evan made his way down the rocky path toward his cottage, the lighthouse behind him now glowing serenely in the moonlight. He would return to this place, this sacred ground where the sea and the spirits had merged, bringing about new life from the depths of the past.
Evan, a marine biologist with a fascination for the supernatural, arrived in Blackwater Bay intrigued by tales of ghostly apparitions around the lighthouse during stormy nights. The most chilling story involved the midnight toll, a ghostly bell that rang in the darkest hours, summoning lost souls from the depths. Determined to uncover the truth behind this maritime mystery, Evan rented a small cottage near the cliffs.
On the first night, as the wind howled and waves crashed relentlessly against the shore, he made his way to the lighthouse, his flashlight cutting through the thick fog. Inside, the lighthouse was eerily quiet, its spiral staircase stretching upwards into darkness. Evan climbed to the top where the lantern room offered a panoramic view of the turbulent sea. He set up his equipment, cameras and recording devices aimed at capturing any supernatural events, and settled in to wait. The hours passed slowly. Midnight came and went with only the raging storm for company. As he began to doubt the legends, a sound cut through the wind, a low, resonant toll, as if a massive bell had been struck with a mournful hand.
My blood ran cold. The midnight toll was real.
With the bell's echo still haunting the air, he strained to listen, his senses heightened. The sound came again, accompanied by whispers carried on the wind, desperate voices rising from the ocean.
Whispering, "Help us, save us."
Evan's flashlight flickered, casting strange shadows that seemed to dance across the walls. Driven by adrenaline and curiosity, he ventured down the stairs and out to the rocky outcrop where the lighthouse stood. The fog thickened, swirling like ghostly tendrils as the bell continued its spectral toll. Through the mist, Evan spotted spectral figures emerging from the sea. Translucent sailors, their faces twisted in sorrow and fear, staggered toward the lighthouse. Some appeared to carry the weight of centuries, their clothing and features from eras long past.
Echoing, "We are lost, forever lost."
Each toll of the bell seemed to pierce their intangible forms, dragging them back toward the depths they had tried to flee. Desperate to help, Evan called out to the phantoms, his voice nearly drowned by the storm.
"Can you hear me? How can I help you?"
One figure turned toward him, its eyes filled with a haunting plea.